Welcome to Monday. It's June 2nd, 2025. This day with the podcast brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's Railroad Heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope Legend. Glen Rockbow Scenic Trails, Dinosaur History, and Small Town Charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, there's a lot to go over. You know, the weekend started off quiet. Then all of a sudden, we had Aurora breaking out. Then we had some big thunderstorms yesterday afternoon and evening. And as we were advertising last week, parts of the high plains and front range will get severe weather today. We'll highlight those locations as a Pacific trough and frontal system is going to work its way into the region. Also, if you remember late last week, we showed you tropical moisture coming up into the southwestern United States. That's getting into the mix. So it's going to be a very busy day. If you're a weather watcher, you've got another day here where things are going to get interesting. It's going to be a cool week ahead. So although we saw some really warm temperatures in many areas, there's a lot of locations that are just going to go through the next 4 to 5 days here with temperatures a bit cooler than average. So we're going to delay any summer big warm up here for at least this week. Now, this is how things started. Here's a shot Friday of the Bighorn Mountains and blue sky, just really setting up a really nice weekend with that high pressure building in. And then, boom, the sun exploded with a very large coronal mass ejection and put on quite the display this weekend. Now, the second night, the activity wasn't as good. We also had a lot more clouds. There's a beautiful shot. Thanks, Lisa, for sending this in. Southwest of Casper near the Ferris Mountains. And then Jan Curtis got another great time lapse that you can see of the aurora developing Saturday night into Sunday morning, looking north out of Cheyenne. And you can see it developing. It got quite intense. It just was brief. So it didn't come to the levels of what we had in May 2024, but still put on a really good show. In fact, both hemispheres, we had the Aurora Borealis even down into Australia and New Zealand and got pretty down far south in latitude as well. Now, another time lapse from Jan. Jan's camera's very, very busy this weekend. So he went from warm, high pressure, the Aurora Borealis, to thunderstorms that really started to build up across portions of southeastern Wyoming and the northern front range of Colorado. And boy, did things really get popping. You can see that this was a stationary cell. And this was interesting. This cell right here was actually not the main thunderstorm that ended up bringing a lot of hail to southeastern Wyoming, especially the Cheyenne area. But as you'll see in a moment when we look at radar, it produced an outflow boundary that ended up initiating the big thunderstorm that, well, shredded, I know, a lot of plants for a lot of you folks. I want to show you something about how the interactions between thunderstorms and what we call outflow boundaries will help initiate other thunderstorms. So I'm going to put this here in motion a little bit. Now, this is narrow because this came from my phone app, but you see this right here? What you're seeing here is what we call an outflow boundary. So as this shower that you just saw on the time lapse, that shower and thunderstorm that developed there actually was a garden variety one. It really didn't do a lot. It was a thunderstorm. And as it collapsed, air comes out. So think of when a thunderstorm, when the updraft weakens, it becomes a downdraft and the air spills out of the cloud, rain-cooled air. Since it's rain-cooled air, that cool air is kind of like a front. And if we put this in motion here, watch this area right here, then I want you to watch this area right here. This outflow boundary and outflow boundaries from these developing west of Cheyenne worked in unison to cause things to come together. You can see the outflow boundary, boom, and then you get your thunderstorm. And then if we put it together, as that all came together, you can see it developing very well, coming together and becoming quite the intense thunderstorm. And here's the result. A lot of yards and lawns in the capital city of Wyoming covered with a lot of hail, a lot of sad plants, a lot of sad gardens. And those thunderstorms got all the way into the eastern Sierra, producing some rain. It's not normal in very early June for parts of the Southwest to get rain, but Give you an example, Phoenix got a trace of rain Saturday. That was a record. So they're not used to June rain down there, but as you'll see here in a minute, there's more coming. Now, I got a lot of photos over the weekend. If you don't see your photo, don't worry, I'll get it on tomorrow. Just didn't have enough time to get them all put together, but we had quite the variety from beautiful shot there near Saratoga Lake, Wyoming, to some big thunderstorms around the Casper areas. That moisture got all the way up to the north. Beautiful sunset at Alcova Reservoir, and then a beautiful shot there of the sunset in northwest New Mexico. That's an area that's going to get into some showers and thunderstorms as well. So we're going to see clouds like this building again today in many areas, but that doesn't look like a hot photo, doesn't it? Down in Lake Bridgeport, Texas, of the sun. You can just feel the heat when you look at a picture like that. So be on the lookout for more clouds building like this, like what we saw here over the weekend up in Lingle. And I believe this is a shot there from the Laramie Valley of the thunderstorms beginning to develop. It's a great time of year to be a cloud watcher. Look at that beautiful shot there from Penrose, Colorado of the Mattis clouds. And another good shot out of Colorado, the thunderstorms building. That's just a classic early spring photo right there from this part of the country. Nice shot of Heart Mountain, Wyoming there from Matt. Beautiful shot from Mount Massive, Colorado. You can see the pink there on the clouds. Shower activity, still a lot of snow on the mountains. So, as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, get your cameras ready today. We've got a lot going on. First of all, let's go take a look down here in the southwestern United States. We've got the moisture coming up from what was Tropical Storm Alvin. It has worked its way up into here, and then we have a trough of low pressure, as we'll show you here on the 500 millibar chart, settling in. So we're bringing moisture up from the south. We're also bringing moisture in from the plains. The temperatures high above us, aloft, are cold here. So when you bring colder air in aloft, you have a nice warming, the sun comes out, you warm up the day nicely. You add cold air aloft, upslope, low-level moisture, you're going to have a very busy afternoon and evening. And that's what we saw yesterday. We had heat yesterday with a lot of humidity. We had temperatures in the 80s and dew points in the 50s, and that was just a recipe for big thunderstorms. So this is what we've got coming together here. These troughs are working together. The counterclockwise flow bringing the southeast wind flow, southerly wind flow, bringing that moisture into the region. And this is by tomorrow. You can see that the overall general trend of the flow is bringing that trough in and cooling things off. So that's why temperatures are going to drop. This is where the severe weather is going to be today. The yellow area is where the highest risk of the most severe weather will be. The darker green is another area as well. Now, yesterday's thunderstorm activity may make the ground wet enough, cool enough to maybe stymie some of the thunderstorms right here. We'll just have to see, but certainly Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, extreme eastern Wyoming, Kansas, down into the Panhandles here, then even up into Sioux Falls. Going to be a busy day, and we're likely going to have everything. Heavy rain, hail, damaging winds, possible tornado activity. A lot of storm chasers will be in this part of the world today. Now, tomorrow, as the system shifts east, the severe weather threat will shift east as well. And then return flow behind the front brings moisture back, and you're going to get shower and thunderstorm activity pick up again along the front range on Wednesday. This is a classic pattern. You get the front, you get the thunderstorms, you get a day where the thunderstorms shift east, then moisture starts to return and come back up along the front range. So precipitation looks like this. Now, don't pay too much attention to the exact numbers, because once we're into thunderstorm season, these numbers really don't mean much, because you could have what looks like 1/100th of an inch turn into an inch of rain if you're underneath a thunderstorm. But the darker colors show where the concentration of the heavier showers and thunderstorms will be. Look at down here in Arizona into the Sierra. Look at that moisture into New Mexico. All that is really, really needed down there. But this is where things are going to get very interesting, especially today. And over the next 5 days, you can see how cool it is. This is 5 days, today through Friday, added together. So you can see the temperature anomaly in the blue is cool. There's going to be plenty of heat in the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, but along and near the divide, temperatures are going to be a bit below average for the first week of June. Then as we go out further, this is by next weekend, and this is not a summer look. Not yet, at least. We have an active jet stream, and we've got a trough coming into the Great Lakes. Winds aloft here from the west-northwest. Here's your summer high wanting to build. You're going to notice in the weeks ahead that this summer high, is going to eventually work its way up into Oklahoma and Texas here, and then it's going to reside here by the middle of the month. But at least for the first 2 weeks of June, it's going to be an active weather pattern, and if it does get warm and the heat builds, it's going to be here along the west coast and just into the interior parts of the Great Basin. But along and east of the Rockies, the first half of June looks to be, at times, a little on the cool side. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.